Hey there, it's Greg T with the Image Stop and Think Beyond the Brand, and this is your branding moment. Okay, so this branding moment, we're taking a bit of a shift here, and this is more of a training or I guess a learning thing. You know what? A lot of business owners, we like to do webinars. Okay, there's business owners and organizations that will do webinars, once a month, once a week, once every quarter, lots of different ones. Now, there's some key things that we should make sure that we are always doing in these webinars so that we can benefit from them and, help our clients or help the people that are participating in these webinars the best and the most we can possibly help. So let's go over some of the key things. I want to start with, first of all, the platform that you're going to be using to do your webinar. There's many different ones out there. There is a lot of online solutions. You have Zoom, you've got Ring Central, you've got people I've seen doing through Skype, a lot of different things. I'm not going to speak to each individual one and how they run themselves. That's something that's more of a one-on-one overview, of course, but what it comes down to is things that are necessary for when you're doing the webinars. So let's start with number one. First of all, on the sign up, when people are signing up for your webinar, they're registering to make sure that they are part of the webinar, so they've got it into their timer, whether that be a calendar online or whatever. One thing to have in your sign up is to make sure that there is a note about a video and voice release. That is so that anybody who is a part of this webinar, if you have a Q&A specifically, or whether you allow people to speak during your webinar, if they're going to participate in this, you need to make sure there's a release so that they understand that this webinar can or is being recorded and can be used for marketing purposes or training purposes aside of the actual time and date that you're doing the recording. I'll do a quick sample of all this in the very end. So that's first. Second, make sure that you mention that this recording is taking place and repeat the caveat during the recording, before the recording, and after you've started the recording of your webinar. Also very important because, first of all, you want to warn the people who may have tuned in and potentially didn't register, just got the link, depending on what your system's set up like, because people have different systems. Some people can't get into the webinar until they've actually registered. I've seen some where you register and you go. And if you have the link that's a regular link, you can go back again the next time and you don't actually have to register for it. First of all, encourage your people to register. Always do that. It's good to track. You can't measure what you don't track. Secondly, you mentioned before the recording and say, hey, just a reminder, you guys, we're going to be doing this recording and so on and so forth. Again, I'll do a sample after. And lastly, when you start the recording, repeat that. Very, very important. Next, your webinar length. Okay, webinar length, that can be multiple different lengths. So let's be honest about that. I've seen and been part of 10, 15-minute webinars. I've been part of 3-hour webinars. I like to say that usually the half hour to an hour or so is pretty comfortable. Make sure you've planned your webinar, okay? So you've planned out, you've walked through, you've done the walkthrough yourself, making sure that it is it's cohesive, you've got some good information, and you're not stumbling over everything and searching for what you're trying to find. Being real is important, okay? You'll have people that will come out to watch a webinar or watch a recording, whether it be a video like the branding moment here or anything like that, and they will judge according to, ooh, how's your lighting, how's that kind of stuff. I gotta be honest with you, we're not doing super expensive lighting here. Let me show you something really quickly, okay? Pull this over here. This here light here, oh, nice and bright, right? That right there, I've got that set up to do a quick wash over the back here. You can still see a bit of the shadowing because I haven't got it quite pointed exactly, but that gives me the wash behind here to keep all this really nasty shadowing away. I have another one of those lights right over here. I have the regular lights here shining down on me. Now, yes, they are the 3 of them pointed at me, but the whole thing being is got a decent camera, got decent sound coming through the microphone, and oh yes, and we do use a microphone here. Let's hold make some noise here. Here we go. I do have a nice snowball mic. Nice thing to have if you're going to be doing regular webinars, especially for your business. I'll be honest, I like to put it in so that it shows inside the webinar to show that we've got some little bit of professionalism happening here, but it's not over the top. Why? Let's be real, okay? People want to see real people in that, so being too rehearsed can be a detriment as well as not rehearsing enough. Make sure you go through your things. Lastly, I'm a proponent of, we'll stand for people doing recordings and having conversations with their webinar attendees. Some people don't like to do that, which I understand because there is that caveat with the with the releases that are necessary. But I think the question in the Q&A can be really good, especially if you know the subject that you're talking about. You really know what you live that. That's something that is open to having conversations and the Q&As. And let's be real, if you don't know the answer, you know what? It's a great thing to add on to later. Maybe you have that in your next webinar. Maybe do a follow-up with these people. Keep in touch. Again, people like to know that you're real. So that's the quick overview here. I would say knowing your stuff here on that end, being concise, going through step by step, having a flow through it so people understand. And that pretty much sums up the quick overview of doing your webinar. Oh, when you're recording, don't sit way back here, okay? Let's come in there. People actually want to see that. And in the post-production, I would say that adding some extra little clips and videos like this point, 1, 2, this point, 1, 2, 3, that kind of stuff is important as well. Reasoning being is that it shows some production value, and people do like to see that. Basically, you're professional, but you're not over the top, like you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars on your stuff. In this day and age, we don't need to, but we can still do a great job. So that is the quick. Now here, I'd like to do a quick introductory for the webinar so we kind of have a feel what that's going to be going. So let's try it this way. I'm going to make it look good. Here we go. Boom, let's do there. Okay, hi there. So before we get onto the webinar, guys, I want to thank you all for coming. Now, this is going to be a recorded webinar. Because of the recording, I need to just a quick warning to you all. Please, no language and everything, no vulgar or off-color language, nothing like that while we're doing the recordings. We don't want to have to go in to edit things out and be changing things. We will if we have to, but please do watch those things. Secondly, since we're recording, anything that you say, anything that if your picture shows up in the webinar feed as far as one of the participants, we want you to understand that by being a part of this recording, you are giving us the right to record you and use you in replays of this recording, use this in marketing materials that we may use, and have this for displaying for other audiences, whether it be locally or across the globe. This is something that could happen, and just by being a part of our webinar, you are giving us the right to do so, and you are accepting that this is okay. So that's it. So I'm going to hit recording now, and we're going to start our webinar. Okay, so now I would click. There we go. Hi there, this is Greg T of The Image Stop and Think Beyond the Brand, and this is your Branding Moment webinar. This is going to be one of the first webinars we're doing. We've got several participants here. I want to thank them all for coming. Just as a reminder to all the participants that by being part of this webinar, this is a recorded webinar. This is something that we're going to use potentially in our marketing and as for broadcast in the future. So just by being a part of this webinar, you are giving us and you are accepting our terms of that we will be using for these things, and you're giving us the right to do so, to use your voice and or your video feed if you've got a video feed open in the participants windows here. This will be recorded and is something that we could use moving forward. I just want you to be aware of that, and if you signed up and registered, of course, that would be part of the registration process as well. And that's it. So hopefully we're going to see a lot of this moving forward. Thank you so much. So let's move on. Hey, welcome to the webinar. Here we go, guys. And on and so forth. So that gives you the basic overview of, what it does to your hair. That gives you the kind of basic of what might be a good way to start those things. I've had some people, in some of the webinars I've done, go, "Oh, you do that so naturally." You know what? I'm talking to people. Just do it that way. Don't worry about the stress of things. Don't worry about your I probably did that dozens of times there. That's me. It's the way I talk. Ask anybody I know. So yeah, if you got any questions, you know what to do. You reach out there to Greg at thebrandguy.ca or Greg at theimagestop.com. And you know what? Love to answer any questions. And hey, if you've got any ideas for a future branding moment on a teaching level for anything that we do in this branding moment to help you with your business and get things rolling well to what you want to do, then please send a comment in the comments down here, and you know what? Subscribe. Love to see you being a part of what we're doing here and giving us ideas and being a part of the conversation. So thank you so much. To your success.